afternoon and thank you for joining our remote reading workshop for Key Stage 3. This is aimed at parents of children in year 7 and 8. I'm Miss Keane and I'm a teacher of English here at King's Primary School. And throughout this session, I'll share with you some strategies and provide some guidance about how to support your child with their reading journey as they move through Key Stage 3 and on into Key Stage 4. So as part of the session, I'll first of all explore the benefits of reading and how this can positively impact both the education and life of a child. I'll explain how you can support your child with reading at home. I'll share some reading lists and links to a number of websites which contain some brilliant book suggestions for your child. And then I'll explain what we do to support reading here at school. So as we know, reading has numerous benefits. Not only does it serve as the building blocks for learning in all other areas of the curriculum, but it can also develop a child's personal, social and emotional skills as well. So on the left hand side there, you can see some of the benefits of reading books. So it improves concentration and focus. It enriches the language and vocabulary of a child, which of course, as they move through the school and encounter more complex texts, a breadth of vocabulary and an understanding of a wide range of words is essential for success in all curriculum areas. It also improves their writing skills. It develops creativity. Reading kind of allows children to be transported from the world that they're in and experience new cultures all through reading a book. They can become immersed in the lives of fictional characters, and they can learn about an entirely different culture from their own. There's also an increasing amount of research which tells us that reading increases a child's ability to empathise with others. So by understanding and sharing in the feelings of others, they can help learn how to empathise and also have a better understanding of themselves. So at school, we do have time for reading in our extended literacy slot on a morning. But as you can see on the right hand side there, reading for just 20 minutes at home as well to kind of supplement this reading that we do in school can have numerous benefits. So you can see there a student who reads for 20 minutes a day at home can encounter 1,800,000 words per year, which in contrast to a child who reads for 1 minute a day at home, they will only encounter 8,000 words per year. So really, taking the time to read at home is certainly essential for pupils to kind of further their knowledge and to develop their reading skills. So some headlines then to do with reading. As pupils move from Key Stage 2 into Key Stage 3, there's often headlines in the news that say progress in reading stalls at secondary school or reading for pleasure falls after primary school years. And at the bottom there, reading, are teenagers falling out of love with reading? And I guess that's due to a number of reasons. People have kind of more commitments in their studies, so perhaps increased homework or other interests outside of school as pupils gain more freedom in their life, perhaps when they're able to go out and socialise with friends, perhaps reading isn't top of their priority list. So really what we've worked on a lot this year at school is to try and encourage and to maintain that passion that children have for reading in Key Stage 2 and kind of continue that into Key Stage 3. So to see where our pupils' attitudes to reading, we conducted a survey in March this year. And the survey told us that 63% of our pupils in Key Stage 3 say they read twice a week or more, and 63% of pupils say that they enjoy reading. Now, both positive statistics, however, on the first school site, so from reception to year 6, those two statistics were more around 83%. So we can kind of see perhaps pupils are becoming disengaged with reading as they move into Key Stage 3. So that's kind of our area to focus on. A positive statistic there at the bottom, you can see 93.2% of pupils say that they feel reading is valued at King's Primary School, which is extremely important and kind of proves that the the way we've been promoting reading and supporting reading in school has been noticed by pupils in Key Stage 3. So what do we want from our young readers? As I mentioned before, at King's Priory School, we place reading at the heart of everything that we do. We are passionate about reading and really encourage pupils to read books to do with the subjects they study, and try and give them suggestions of books that suit their areas of interest. So we really want children to love language, to love reading, to love writing, and the adventures that it can take them on, and really see it as an enjoyable experience rather than a chore and something they just have to do at school. We want to create lifelong readers with positive reading habits. So by trying to kind of form and build these reading habits in Key Stage 3, we really want that to continue on as pupils move through their school journey. And we want children to be ready for the reading challenges which lie ahead. So as they move into Key Stage 4 and meet more challenging unseen texts, we want them to be ready for that challenge. And of course, you can help. So Scholastic conducted a survey about being a reading role model and kind of the importance of that. And 82% of children said that parents are the #1 source of encouragement for reading or to read books for fun. And that's closely followed by teachers and school librarians. So us as teachers and also you as parents play a really significant role in encouraging and supporting reading for fun and reading for enjoyment. We really have a major impact on students' interest in reading, both inside and outside of school. The diagram on the right-hand side there, I thought just really nicely kind of shows the reading journey a child might go on. So from being read to as a baby and as a toddler, to then kind of moving through to Key Stage 2, or where there's kind of more independence, where children have more independence with the books that they select, and then kind of into Key Stage 4 there, perhaps not necessarily a parent reading to a child, but sharing books and talking about the books you're reading, having conversations around those books. And then the question mark there, so from the two pictures at the bottom, what kind of reader or what kind of young adult would that journey there create? Somebody who quite clearly is enjoying reading and sees it as something relaxing and as a form of escapism, or somebody who is desperately reaching for the computer. So just that kind of illustrates, I think, the impact that we as teachers and you as parents can have on the reading journey of a child. Research suggests as well that children who see their parents reading for pleasure are more likely to read for fun themselves. So by kind of discussing the books that you're reading or having literature around the house, magazines, anything like that, pupils kind of then associate that with, you know, that's a positive hobby to have, or a positive thing to do at home and at school. So building a reading culture, we've been working on this quite significantly this year in school, so building a reading culture at school, but here are some suggestions about how to do this in the home. So establishing a reading routine and rituals at home. So perhaps it's downloading and listening to an audiobook in the car on the way into school, or in the kitchen when you're cooking dinner. Perhaps it's reading before bed or talking about stories over dinner. Kind of making sure there's a specific time each day or each week to talk about reading, and so that it becomes kind of a habit rather than a chore. Very similar to the previous slide, but being a reading role model. So drawing attention to the things that you read, letting children see you reading around the house, and a few positive mentions now and then can really make a big impact. So by surrounding yourself and your home with reading material, pupils are kind of exposed to that and see that as, you know, just quite a normal aspect of their day. Talk to your child about the book that they're reading, during, after it, just to kind of gauge, are they enjoying it? What are they kind of getting from the novel? And perhaps even reading it yourself if you're able, you know, if you have time to do so. Establish a home library or a school, a bookshelf or a book basket somewhere where there's a cozy place for children to read at home. Perhaps reading aloud as a family or listening to an audiobook together can be really powerful, because then that creates, you know, a topic for discussion over dinner. Make reading a competition, so introducing a quiz at the end of a book. There's lots of questions to do with current novels available online, or perhaps you know, if siblings read the same book, they could create a quiz for one another. Get a magazine subscription yourself to create excitement around reading. So perhaps you have, hobbies in your family like running. Perhaps there's a magazine that you could, a subscription to kind of support that. And then obviously when they're open, taking regular visits to the library and getting a book for yourself too. I went to the new bookshop in Whitley Bay the other day, Bound it's called, and it was lovely to see children in there selecting books, obviously not to rent from, not to loan from there. It's more of a bookshop, but kind of creating excitement around choosing and selecting new books. So here are a few links to fantastic websites which include book recommendations. So Love Reading for Kids is a fantastic website, and on this website you can read opening extracts before you buy the book. You can search for the age range or even the genre that your child might like. So if, for example, your child was inspired by the Gothic novels that they've read in Year 8 and wants to read another Gothic novel suitable for Key Stage 3 pupils, and you can find books linked to The Woman in Black, for example, on the website. They also have collated some of the best super readable titles, which are dyslexia friendly. And they're organised by age and by theme. So a great website for searching for new recommendations. Also, all brand new books come out on there. So they have I think it's the weekly titles or weekly favourites or something, and it's all new books that authors have released that week. The World Book Day website is fantastic and has a parent finder, so a section where you can, again, in a similar way to Love Reading for Kids, type in the theme that you're looking for, and then there's a whole selection of books. And also the reading list page. I'll just flick to the next slide to show you that. So this is what the reading lists look like on the World Book Day website. So you can see, for example, on the left, Back in Time has suggestions from picture books all the way through to 12 plus, and there's a whole range of different kind of titles there. On the right hand side is brilliant BAME authors, and again, a book suitable for every age, kind of in up to Key Stage 3, we would say, really. School Reading List, again, is another website that's updated regularly with new titles from a wide range of genres. And then we've got also our school website, which has book lists, subject-specific reading lists. So our science teachers have collated a list of fiction and non-fiction titles linked to the subjects that children study in Key Stage 3. They're all accessible on our website. There's also information about any reading competitions that we have, and the reading newsletter is on there, and any other events that we have to do with reading. Goodreads is a fantastic kind of review website where people can read reviews and they can share their thoughts with like-minded readers, obviously with parent permission, and they can use the app to set themselves a reading challenge and keep track of the books that they read. So after they've read a book, they can record it on the Goodreads app, and then it collates like a shelf. So they might set themselves the target of, for example, reading 20 books this year, and it can be quite motivating to kind of for them to see their progress. The last suggestion here, the Newcastle Libraries app, I think is absolutely brilliant. So it works just like, a library, except it is all done online. So it gives you access to hundreds of free ebooks and audiobooks, which you can download onto a Kindle or onto a phone. So I use this regularly, particularly for the audiobooks. Titles are updated regularly, and you can borrow several books at a time. If something's not available, then you can join a waiting list and they notify you when it's available. So just like the library, but without actually having to visit, which I think is a great service. So all you do is register for a library card number, and then the app is called BorrowBox. And you can get a range of titles for adults and children on there. This website, this PowerPoint will be available on the school website as well, so that you can click on the links. It'll take you straight to the website. Here's a few books to get you started. So on the left-hand side there are some suggested titles for reluctant readers. Wolf Hollow is a book that I actually read recently, and a number of people in my Year 7 class now are on the waiting list to borrow it. It's a gripping tale, actually, and I couldn't put it down, and a number of people in my class, I would say, are quite reluctant to read. I've been quite excited about picking that one up. Lewis Satcher is another favourite. So your child must probably read Holes when they were in Year 6. This is Small Steps is another book by him, really accessible and really enjoyable as well, and humorous. The Crossovers graphic novel haven't read it myself, but a number of pupils in my class have, and really enjoyed kind of the combining the text with pictures. And then in the middle section there are some Key Stage 3 recommended titles. So for anything by Philip Pullman, particularly his Dark Materials trilogy, is the description and characterization, and that is fabulous and really engaging for pupils. The Hunger Games, a number of pupils read that in Key Stage 3 and are kind of gripped by the dystopian society and the world that's created, that Suzanne Collins has created. Karen Millward Hargrave is an author that we had in school last year, and both of her books, The Island at the End of Everything and The Girl of Ink and Stars, have been really popular, both with girls and boys in Key Stage 3, but kind of very almost poetic type books, but lovely to read. And then on the right, there's some more challenging reads there. So for pupils more at the top end of Key Stage 3, so in Year 8. Some great titles on there, everything from The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime to kind of beginning to access more challenging texts like Lord of the Flies by William Golding, and the Noughts and Crosses series by Mallory Blackman, which kind of builds on some of the ideas explored in the Hunger Games and a dystopian world. Another great resource which kind of allows pupils who have a particular passion for an author, for example, Morpurgo, if a child likes Morpurgo, then you can track the yellow tube line there. And there's a whole range of different books on there, which kind of, if a child likes Morpurgo, they might also enjoy, for example, Rooftoppers by Catherine Rundle, which is a fabulous book, The Middler by Kirsty Applebaum, again. And they explore some of the same themes or same ideas as Morpurgo. And you can see there, there's, if your child likes the Dogman series or Narnia or Harry Potter, lots of fantastic and new suggestions on there. So here are some questions that you could ask kind of your child as they're reading, or after they've read a chapter, or after they've read the whole book. So thinking about the key skills of a good reader, so predicting, retrieving information, summarising what's happened in the chapter, in the section, what's the main ideas. Some questions there to develop and promote inference skills, which of course is a key skill moving forward into Key Stage 4. And then some questions to ask about word choice. So if you've read a section with your child, these would be some great questions, very specific to the text that they're reading, to ask. So what are we doing in school then? We really at King's Priory School place reading at the heart of everything we do. It's at the heart of our curriculum, and when we have a varied and engaging curriculum, which obviously develops and changes as new texts come out. So we also have time to read in class independently and inform time. We have new class readers and literacy lessons, and these have been chosen to kind of develop people's cultural capital. And the books that we've chosen, they look at one called Nobel Issues in Syria, which explores the life of a child, a Syrian refugee. So exploring some quite complex themes, but through the class texts that we've chosen, and pupils have responded very well to those. We've got new books in classroom libraries. Obviously the school libraries are closed at the moment, but we do have a book box in all classrooms with specially selected titles that pupils can borrow. We've had competitions and promotional events this year. So author visits, World Book Day was a huge success. The sponsored reading challenge was well received, and we pupils raised a lot of money for that, which will be pumped straight back into classroom libraries. The Carnegie Book Awards we're promoting at the moment. We've also got a subscription for Reading Plus, which is a brilliant way for children to develop their reading skills, and it kind of works, as I'm sure you're aware, where they get points and badges for the amount of text that they read and the score that they get. And these are very varied, so fiction and non-fiction. We have a termly reading newsletter, which both staff and pupils contribute to. It also includes book suggestions as well. And again, that's available on the school website. We have door signs and displays in school where teachers update the book that they're reading, either their personal reading book or something they're reading with a class. And we also have the top 100 books reading challenge, which I'll dive into a little bit more on the next slide. And then, as I said, on the school website, we have a reading list for each key stage, and subject reading lists are on there now too. So this is our literacy focus that we have up in all classrooms, and teachers refer to this when they encounter new and unseen texts with their classes. So thinking about the skills of a competent reader. So what do you already know, activating prior knowledge? What does the child know about the topic and what knowledge can they bring? Making predictions. So what does the title suggest about the text? What kind of ideas do you get from the illustrations there? What do you think will happen? So then asking questions during reading the text. So what kind of questions might a child have? Is there anything they need to clarify to find out more? Check an understanding of key words after reading. And then finally, this summarising skill. So what did they just read in that chapter? What was the most important development for the characters in that section? Here is the top 100 books reading challenge, as mentioned on the previous slide. And we set this challenge kind of at the beginning of Key Stage 4. So the challenge is to read as many books as you can by the time that you finish Year 11. But lots of these books, pupils may have started kind of accessing these in Key Stage 3. So I know I've got pupils in my class at the moment reading The Boy in the Striped Pyjamas. And you can see there that The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime is on there as well, which is a suggested title for kind of the top end of Year 8. So again, available on the school website. Pupils may already in Year 8 be able to start ticking off some of these. And these have been specifically chosen by our English department as books which we really feel would complement the curriculum, and they're really influential titles. So here is the English reading journey for Year 7 and Year 8. So the texts and the topic areas that people study. For example, in Year 7, they start with a linguistic investigation. Then they move to a war novel, and then a modern drama, and then unseen fiction and non-fiction to do with women who changed the world. And then they explore poetry and Shakespeare. And the same with Year 8, you can see the journey that they go on. So on the right-hand side there are some links to TED Talks to do with Shakespeare. There's some suggestion of 19th century fiction, so linked to Oliver Twist. Some biographies and autobiographies to develop their understanding of the differences unit. Some links to mythology, and then finally some suggested war novels that pupils in Year 7 or 8 might enjoy if they particularly found that unit engaging. So really that is all from us. Thank you very much for attending the session and for supporting your child with reading. If there are any suggestions that you have as a way to further develop reading, we are always very keen for any feedback from parents and also pupils. So please ask your child to pass this on to their form teacher or drop me an email. Always keen for suggestions. Thank you very much for joining, and we hope that you enjoyed the session.